I'm Sharon Tazwell. Here's your Spectrum News in 90.
Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again.
President Biden with a strong statement about his future as he's preparing for perhaps the most critical interview of his political career. He's set to talk to ABC's George Stephanopoulos Friday in his first in-depth interview following his disastrous debate. The president's allies are concerned another bad showing could sink his campaign. Britain's new Prime Minister Keir Starmer has started naming his cabinet members after winning a landslide election against Conservative incumbent Rishi Sunak. In his first speech, Starmer promised to steer the UK towards what he calls calmer waters after 14 years of Conservative control. The U.S. labor market remained strong last month despite job growth cooling. 206,000 new jobs were added in June. That's down from 215,000 in May. Unemployment rates also went up, and Beryl is now a tropical storm after losing strength over the Yucatan Peninsula. However, the storm is expected to regain strength while it moves through the Gulf. Its path now threatening to make landfall Sunday in Texas. Those are your headlines. Here's your weather on the ones.
Hey everybody, I'm meteorologist Nate Harrington. Hopefully you had a fantastic, safe, and happy 4th of July. We turn our attention now to more of the same for us this week. Heat continues to crawl up the East Coast and the West Coast as well. Some of the most extreme heat we've seen on the western side of the country in quite a long time as storms continue in the central portion of the country. So the oppressive heat and storms will be the big story, and Beryl, of course, will be top of mind for us as we head into the weekend. We'll have more details in your forecast coming up.
Biden is scrambling to salvage his campaign, rallying in battleground Wisconsin and appearing for TV interviews. He's faced a rough week with near incessant calls from inside and outside of his own party to step down in the election. Now his message, he's staying in the race. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Tazwell. This interview will be the first major test for the president following his discouraging debate performance. Fellow Democrats are worried anything less than a stellar performance could further endanger his campaign.
Stepping onto the stage in Madison, Wisconsin Friday, President Joe Biden kicked off one of the most consequential days of his long political career, attempting to vanquish doubts about his ability at the age of 81 to serve 4 more years. Reading from a teleprompter, he delivered a feisty speech to an enthusiastic crowd.
A lot of discussion about my age. I know I look 40, but I'm being too old. Let me say something. I was too old. I wasn't too old to create over 15 million new jobs.
Biden acknowledged he struggled in the debate, but said he's all in.
We had a little debate last week. Can't say it was my best performance. I'm not letting one 90-minute debate wipe out 3.5 years of work.
A growing number of Democrats have voiced concern about Biden after he struggled to defend his policies and answer former President Donald Trump's attacks at last week's debate. Now every appearance of the president is under the microscope, with heightened attention to any verbal slips or moments of potential confusion. The president did slip up at one point Friday before recovering.
I will beat him again in 2020. Well, by the way, we're going to do it again in 2024.
Biden's campaign continued full steam ahead for $1 million on television, digital, and radio ads, an effort to firm up the president's support by focusing on key issues such as abortion rights, the economy, and protecting democracy. Biden is also scheduled to sit down with ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos Friday for an extensive interview to air later this evening. It's one more effort to demonstrate he's up to the job. In Washington, Cassie Simeon, Spectrum News.
President Biden on the campaign trail in Wisconsin Friday. Joining us now from Milwaukee for a look at all the political buzz is Jason Fechner. Jason, the president's event's under a lot of scrutiny right now. What's your takeaway from his speech in Madison?
Sharon, great to see you. And I've got kind of 2 main takeaways from his speech there on Friday. First off, let's talk about Democrats in Wisconsin, specifically Democratic leadership. You had the Democratic governor, Democratic lieutenant governor, other elected leaders, of course, all there waiting on the tarmac, along with the head of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, to meet President Joe Biden when he came to Wisconsin. The head of the Democratic Party said You know, he was getting the crowd fired up about electing them for 4 more years, talking about Biden and Kamala Harris. And then you had the president's speech itself. He was energetic, a kind of typical, traditional Joe Biden campaign stump speech out there, smiling and fired up on the offensive. There were a couple of stumbles, which, of course, now get criticized and spread around social media, of course, in the wake of the debate, which he talked about there on Friday is not his finest moment. But for the most part, a pretty traditional stump speech for President Joe Biden. We'll see how big of an impact, if any, it has going forward for his candidacy.
Yeah, we'll see. And Jason, President Biden in Wisconsin as the Republican National Convention prepares to kick off in the state in just over a week.
Yeah, bring it all the time to the Badger State, because for years now, fewer than 21,000 votes separated the two candidates in 2020. You had a pandemic-shortened Democratic National Convention here in Milwaukee 4 years ago, and now in a little more than a week, the Republican National Convention comes to town. Most of the polls have showed that the race here is neck and neck, and a lot of the projections out there show that if Joe Biden's got a chance at re-election, he's got to win Wisconsin, he's got to win Michigan, he's got to win Pennsylvania if all the other states fall the way that they are right now. Republicans, of course, are going to have about 50,000 people here in town working to make sure that that doesn't happen come November.
Oh, for sure. And Jason, missing from Donald Trump's ticket is a vice president. Any rumblings if he's any closer to that big announcement?
This has been fascinating to watch. NBC News last week had reported that they thought that a name was going to be put out there. They had previously reported that North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is a finalist for that potential post, along with Senators Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Trump himself has said in the past out there working for him as surrogates on the campaign trail. My hunch is, in the wake of the debate and the press that Biden and the Democrats have been dealing with since, they're not in a rush to kind of flip over the news cycle right now. They're going to kind of wait to let this see how it plays out going forward, and they'll make news when they want to make news. They don't want to do that right now. Of course, we need to have a potential pick in place for the Wednesday of the RNC when the vice presidential nominee is set to speak here in Milwaukee. So we've got about a week and a half left to go. We'll see how that plays out in the days ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people in anticipation of that announcement. All right, Jason Fechner with your political buzz. Thanks.
Have a great.
The United Kingdom has a new political leader. Labour Party leader Keir Starmer is now the new prime minister. Here with details on the historic win is Spectrum News anchor Robert Guadarrama. Robert.
Sharon, this election really sending a loud message that people in the UK wanted change. Starmer and the victory in the election Thursday. He succeeds outgoing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, putting an end to 14 years of the Conservative Party's rule. Starmer stepped through the front door of the Prime Minister's office at Downing Street Friday for the first time as Britain's new Prime Minister. Starmer says he vows to renew national trust among the British government and its people.
With respect and humility, I invite you all to join this government of service in the mission of national renewal. Our work is urgent, and we begin it today.
And I spoke with London journalist Nina Dos Santos about what we can expect from this new leader, as it is very clear the UK wanted change.
And what is on their agenda? Well, essentially, it is growth. And as you were saying before that, more stability after the last few years of the UK have been dominated by multiple prime ministers.
And Sharon, this also comes as people are struggling economically. I've heard one expert say it is worse than what we're seeing in the U.S. with inflation. So you can understand in that situation, people wanted something different.
Yeah, they're ready for change.
Absolutely.
All right, Robert Guadarrama, thanks. With the 4th of July over, the weekend is shaping up to be a busy travel time. Getting back home, what airports are doing to prepare for an influx of travelers just ahead.
Spectrum News Plus, news from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams.
My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree. That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most to you.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motive. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The extended 4th of July weekend, of course, a lot of folks have had the last couple of days off. You'll have the weekend off too. And it's just more of the same for us. The temperatures that have soared over the last couple of days, numbers in the triple digits from the desert Southwest. Inland California, living away from the coast has been a sweltering time. But I want you to notice 99 in Portland, Oregon. That seems a little weird. Yeah, it is weird. Some almost record-breaking and record-setting temperatures there in the Pacific Northwest. Portland, hotter than Houston and Dallas and most of the Deep South on Friday, and more heat and humidity moving in that way as well. So Friday into Saturday, you're going to see storms dying out. For most of the country, a quiet overnight. Saturday afternoon, you're going to see storms fire up. Where else? In the Midwest and the Great Plains, again, a stormy and possibly severe weather day for them. And there's Beryl. Right now, a tropical storm, but we'll talk more about the severe weather risk on Saturday, mostly in the Midwest, a level 1 or 2 risk from portions of Nebraska through Kansas, the Texas Panhandle, and Oklahoma Panhandle, too. Could see damaging wind gusts, an isolated tornado not be ruled out, and some hail that could lead to some damage as well. Temperatures, again, on Saturday will be sweltering, will be dangerous as far as the heat goes. How about triple digits? I know Portland hit the 90s on Friday, but how about triple digits? We just upped the ante a little bit for the Pacific Northwest, even Seattle at 86 degrees. You just don't find that. Temperatures stay in the low and mid 90s from the Gulf Coast states all the way up to the Mid-Atlantic. Washington, D.C. at 97 sweltering degrees. Up in the upper Midwest, that's where you beat the heat with temperatures in the 70s. We saw Beryl weaken into a tropical storm on Friday as it slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula, but it's strengthening and sending its eyes on the Gulf Coast. More on that coming up.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. President Biden in the battleground state of Wisconsin Friday for a campaign rally, following calls from some Democrats to drop out of the 2024 election. The president saying he's not leaving the race. The event comes ahead of Biden's first TV interview Friday since the debate. The United Kingdom has elected Labour Party leader Keir Starmer as its new prime minister. Starmer's victory puts an end to 14 years of the Conservative Party's rule. 206,000 new jobs were added last month, which is down from 215,000 the month before. But unemployment reached above 4% for the first time since November. Hurricane Beryl is now on track for the Gulf of Mexico. People in Texas are being asked to prepare for the deadly and record-breaking storm's arrival. And that's what you need to know this evening. Record-breaking tropical storm Beryl is now on track for the Gulf of Mexico. It poses the risk of life-threatening rip currents for hundreds of miles of the U.S. coastline, as people in Texas are now being asked to prepare for Beryl's arrival. Spectrum News anchor Carla Redditt is watching the storm and the damage already left in its wake.
Hurricane Beryl bearing down on Mexico Friday morning, making landfall as a Category 2 near the popular tourist destination of Tulum. The storm surge potentially reaching up to 5 feet above high tide for the Yucatan Peninsula, with up to 6 inches of rainfall. Relief efforts underway, with officials saying half of Tulum's homes lost power during the storm.
En este momento, 58 refugios temporales activos con 2,193 personas refugiadas. Tenemos rescatadas porque en su casa estaba inundada.
Beryl, the earliest storm on record to reach Category 5 in the Atlantic, cut a deadly path through the Caribbean, where cleanup has just begun.
It has really opened my eyes more, so you have to always be prepared, because you never know what's going to happen. You have to always be prepared.
Beryl now on the move toward the Gulf of Mexico, where it's expected to strengthen again before its final landfall in northeastern Mexico or South Texas this weekend. The storm is likely to bring dangerous surf conditions and life-threatening rip currents to the entire Gulf Coast, from Florida to Texas, during a very busy holiday weekend.
We have to evacuate. All I have to do is just put all my stuff in this little black trailer here and haul it out of here, and we're just waiting.
Carla Reddick, Spectrum News.
Well, now that July 4th is over, the travel crunch to get home has started. AAA is estimating nearly 71 by train, plane, or automobile until July 8th. Spectrum's Lauren Kendrick shows us how some airports are getting ready.
The 4th of July holiday, as well as the weekend, is shaping up to be a busy travel time. That's why airports across the state are preparing for the influx of travelers.
July 4th is one of the busiest seasons for holiday travel.
Tanya Hope with the San Antonio International Airport is on her toes, making sure airport operations run smoothly.
Between last week and this coming Sunday, we're expecting about 300,000 passengers to travel through the airport.
Hope says with kids out of school, families are eager to book those holiday flights.
We have so many more employees in the airport because we know it's a busy time of year. So you'll see our ambassadors with the big cowboy hats. You'll see employees with shirts on, ready to help.
Helping travelers navigate the new gates added at the San Antonio International Airport.
So American did open, so there are a lot more flights going out of Terminal B just because of the new gates.
Over at Dallas-Fort Worth International, they're expecting a record number of travelers. A spokesperson says from Wednesday the 3rd to Monday the 8th, it is estimated that 1.5 million travelers will make their way through the airport. That's an increase of 5.5% compared to the same time last year.
I think it just worked out well that July 4th falls on a Thursday. So people are leaving on Wednesday, leaving on Thursday, and they're not coming back until Saturday or Sunday.
Something both airports are encouraging passengers to do is to arrive with plenty of time.
We started a new campaign here at the airport. It's called It Takes Two,
which means
to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the boarding time of your flight. Not 2 hours before the flight, 2 hours before the boarding time of your flight. We want your travel experience to be stress-free.
Stress-free on a busy holiday weekend. In San Antonio, Lauren Kendrick.
Engaged couples saying I don't to lavish weddings. What experts say.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably, but I heard every word.
That moved across the Yucatan Peninsula on Friday. Heavy rainfall, storm surge, flooding in some of those popular resort towns in the Yucatan. Cozumel, Cancun getting the brunt of Beryl, but a tropical storm nonetheless. However, as it moves across the Yucatan and back into the Gulf of Mexico on Saturday, we are expecting some pretty quick strengthening by Friday night, early Saturday. Still a tropical storm, but by Saturday afternoon and evening, this thing could be a Category 1 hurricane on possibly North Mexico or South Texas. Now, yes, a Category 1 hurricane, storm surge, and the winds, yes, they will be an issue for parts of South and Central Gulf Coast Texas. However, this will be a very prolific rainmaker. You notice the storm slows down Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, only into Central Texas by Wednesday morning and afternoon. Rain is going to be a big problem. This is the estimated rainfall accumulation Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Notice where that track takes Beryl or the remnants of it into Central Texas. We're talking 8 to 10 inches of rain possible from Sunday night through early Wednesday. Corpus Christi, San Antonio, the state capital of Austin. Houston may miss out on some of the heaviest of the rain, but they could possibly get a little storm surge flooding from Corpus Christi up to the coastal portions of Texas and near Houston. So not quite done yet. Other than that, a very typical summertime pattern setting up. We'll have some storms in the central portion of the country. Out west, it is going to be absolutely bone dry. We talked about the heat. Temperatures continue to soar on Sunday and on Monday. We'll watch some isolated to scattered chances of showers and storms on the eastern side of the country, while if you don't get any rain for Sunday or Monday, you're just going to get some very hot temperatures. Notice low and mid-90s from all the way up to the Mid-Atlantic, down into Florida and the Gulf Coast. Storm chances, again, in the Midwest on Sunday afternoon, and temperatures in the triple digits in the desert Southwest and California. And Monday, it's more of the same. Boise, 101 degrees. The heat will continue to roll on. We will see a little pattern change, but we're expecting some sweltering conditions this weekend as we start next week.
Ford Motor Company is recalling more than 30,000 Mustangs due to steering issues. The recall includes 2022 and 2023 models. Officials say the vehicles could have an improperly calibrated steering sensor that can cause the wheel to move involuntarily. Ford says there are no reports of accidents or injuries. Nearly 17% fewer weddings are expected to happen across the U.S. this year. That's according to a study from the Wedding Report. Engaged couples are cutting back on lavish weddings. Spectrum's Bree Steffen explores how wedding vendors are finding new ways to survive a slow season.
Feeling this girl is calling me.
Crafting beautiful bouquets is a special calling for Natalie Blooms.
I really love that their beauty is so fleeting. Like, it's very poetic to me.
She's a luxury florist in San Diego, and while her flowers keep blooming, she's booked 50% fewer weddings this year than she had last year. According to the Wedding Report, a research company that tracks wedding data, the number of U.S. weddings soared to a 25-year high in 2022. Now, just 2 years after those highs, nearly 17% fewer weddings are expected.
We have taken a lot less weddings, and we're doing projects and collaborations with other businesses now because wedding bookings have slowed down.
This color is really hot.
now, the chartreuse.
Talia Gonzalez is the founder of Terra Coast Events. She believes the dip in nuptials is partially to blame on the pandemic. Potential couples weren't connecting, staying inside instead of going on dates.
The average relationship is about 3.5 years from that first date to engagement to then about 6 to 9 months to a year of planning that wedding. That whole gap brings us right to 2024.
Talia says she expanded her staff to handle 90 weddings, but estimates they'll handle closer to 65 this year. Her company has taken on things like corporate events and styled shoots to help replace the fewer weddings this year.
Our fall 2025 is very, very full. Our spring's a little light, so it's that fall 2024 and spring 2025 that I feel like feeling the most of this wedding gap. And then we're going to be right back in it with people that have started dating post-COVID.
And then these are Alstroemeria. These are a really affordable flower.
According to the wedding report, the average cost of a wedding broke $30,000 for the first time in 2023. This year, they forecast the number of weddings will be down, but spending will be up, mostly due to inflation and higher cost, projecting the average wedding will cost more than $32,000. But just like the fleeting beauty of a flower, Natalie believes this slump will pass too.
Any way the pendulum swings, it's going to swing back the other way.
Bridging the gap year to keep business blooming. Bree Steffen, Spectrum News.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories, connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.